I feel like we split hairs on this. Also, hey, my name
Is Vaush like 50% louder than everyone else on the panel?
Typical.
Is it
Typical.
just me?
Typical.
Jesus.
is Vaush. I'm cisgender. I apologize for my existence. Okay, so when the earlier somebody, I don't know anyone's names except for you, Destiny D, Mom, of course. But earlier, it was said that the more you know about a person, you can generally accurately guess a person's gender. So the reason for that is because most people are cisgender. While there's not an inherent correlation or causative element between sex and gender, you can generally make some inferences based on people's.
There's no causative element
Well, that's just bullshit.
between sex and gender. It's just a coincidence that 99 point whatever percent of people identify with their sex as their gender. It's just a coincidence. It's not causative. It's just a coincidence.
Okay. Your genes aren't constructing a body for any particular any particular goal or anything, right? I mean, it's just all random.
Totally absurd. Totally absurd.
What is the point of even having a Y chromosome? Who knows?
Well, none of them have even. They no one's answered. What is the point of gender? The point of gender is mate selection.
Totally. Yeah.
The entire point of
Evolution.
gender.
Yeah. Yeah. Reproduction.
Appearances which will point you towards their sex, and that will usually overlap with a person's gender, assigned gender at birth, you know. So that's generally what people do when they make guesses. Most people, maybe even everybody, does some amount of assuming gender in their day-to-day life, because most people are cis, and because there are a lot of normative and social elements that go along with our understanding of people's genders that influence how we treat them even from the get-go, before we can even ask a person's pronouns or whatever. When we talk about what the definition of gender is, I feel like there are two, it seems like they conflict, but they really don't, ideas in the minds of most progressive people, whether they're trans or cis or whatever. And that's usually thus: gender matters to me, but gender doesn't really matter. And while I think those two things seem sort of initially contradictory, they make sense when you unpack whatever that meaning is. It's usually, when I think of gender meaning something to me, it's a matter of my relationship to myself, my self-identity, and more, maybe even more practically, when I tell other people what my gender is, when I tell them what my pronouns are, I'm telling them what block of behavior I want them to regard me with, how they should refer to me, how they should treat me. There's a set of social roles and expectations associated with one gender.
Okay, this is so baffling. Okay, when I interact with someone, maybe because I'm not a bigot. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Oh, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Like, here, go ahead.
When I walk up to a person and I start interacting with them, I'm not expecting nor wanting them to have some sort of prejudgment behavior pattern for how they're going to treat me because they see me as male. Totally. I've never wanted that, ever.
I thought we've been fighting that my entire adult life.
Right. And yeah, exactly. That was like that's the whole path we were going on, is we don't want people to make those prejudgments. And I don't do that. I don't see someone who's a man or woman say, oh, well, I'm going to make a bunch of assumptions about this person based on their sex or their gender.
Yeah.
Like, what?
They're bad at math, bad driver, can't open pickle jars. Excellent sandwich maker.
That I would rather be treated by than another. That obviously makes a pretty huge deal to trans people, which is why we try not to misgender them and what have you. But just because there's some personal utility to be derived from the distinction between whatever roles you'd get from one group of gendered norms to another doesn't mean there's anything inherent about the process. There's a quote from a person, that's as far as I'm going to get remembering this, saying sometimes the best thing that you can do to a question is to dissolve it rather than to resolve it. I feel like gender might be one of those. I don't know. Yep.
How do you feel about that?
What?
The best solution is to dissolve the gender question instead of answer it.
No. Hunting. Total bullshit.
It is. Well, this is one of Jordan Peterson's big points, is that it's very dangerous to dissolve concepts that have been around in humanity for thousands of years when you don't even understand necessarily what the utility of the concept is.
These people don't understand basic fucking biology. They don't understand shit that I learned in 8th grade. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. My first encounters with evolution, I was just immediately fascinated.
Mhm.
And to throw all that, just to throw away biology,
Yep.
to throw away huge swaths of human understanding and knowledge just
Doesn't
over this
matter.
nonsense.
Just throw it away. Throw it away.
Well, how is this any different than young Earth creationism? Like young
It's
Earth
not.
creationism wants to take geology and
Evolution.
and evolution and astronomy, right? I mean, the
Right.
age of the universe. They want to throw all that in the garbage.
For their
why?
ideology.
For their
Yes.
ideology. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
How is this any different than young Earth creationism? It's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
But that's what I've always said, is that a lot of this gender is just a social construct stuff. Is the science denial of the left.
Yeah. Dude, if Vaush was a young Earth creationist, we'd be here laughing at him. But
Right.
somehow he's like YouTube God. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's funny how hypocritical, the tribalism is. Because, well, this is the thing. They always pretend. And Vaush does this a lot too. He's like, the science is always settled. They always pretend like the science is on their side when it's literally all opposite, completely opposite in terms of the gender question.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the young Earth creationists do the same thing. They want to talk about the science of perspective. Oh my God, the laws of perspective. It's like, what?
Oh, do they? I thought that was the flat earthers that.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's the flat earthers. The laws of perspective.
It's just perspective that makes it seem like the Earth is flat, and that's why things vanish from the horizon.
But they got their own branch of science going. They want to teach
true.
the controversy and intelligent design and all these different branches of science. The science is settled. The cell is too complex. Evolution can't be true. This irreducible complexity argument we have here.
Yep. If I was walking on the beach and I found a watch, would I assume that watch evolved over a series of processes for millions of years, or would I assume that someone made that watch? Checkmate.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
Well, how's the gender any different than the irreducible complexity of gender? Don't you understand? Gender is very complex.
You're right.
We don't understand it. It's too complex. There was this guy one time in this tribe who was very good at making sandwiches and also an excellent hunter. It can't be real.
There you go. There you
Oh,
go.
God.
This is too complex. It's too much of a hodgepodge. Throw it out. Throw it away.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, see, the creationists, they make the God of the gaps argument, and the genderists make the gender of the gaps argument.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Same exact thing. But I just don't understand, because I thought we were all in agreement that we were going to laugh at stupid shit. We were all going to laugh at stupid shit together. We weren't going to buy into it.
No, I know.
Oh, my God.
Wittgenstein. I said always, this conversation always comes back to Wittgenstein, doesn't it?
Well, sure, because at the end of the day, every term refers to the collective understanding of it. I mean, you were talking about this earlier. What is a chair, right? Well,
Did the blonde center say Wittgenstein? I thought she said Whitman.
I don't know. I thought she said something. I wasn't.
And now she's looking. Let's back it up a little, because I think she yelled out Whitman or something like that.
a chair
It's always this conversation.
to a question is to dissolve it rather than to resolve it. I feel like gender might be one of those. I don't
Wittgenstein.
know.
Oh,
Wow,
no,
Adam.
she did. She got
You're
it.
crazy. You're a crazy person. This is why we
She
can't
got
trust lived experiences. Okay, you guys saw it.
Oh,
before your
never
eyes.
trust living
The
experiences.
fallacy of human memory and personal witness testimony.
Totally. Yeah.
Terrible.
Subconsciously, I was like, oh, hot blonde. She's probably terribly dumb, right? There's no way she could.
Oh,
No
this
way
sexist.
she could get that quote right.
Wow.
No, this is subconscious, obviously.
Wow.
My conscious mind came in and said, wait, Adam, you're losing free will here. Just because someone is blonde doesn't mean they're stupid.
There you go.
Remember.
you go. Adam is the writer. He's grabbing onto the elephant. He's smacking it around.
I
He's
am.
like, no,
I'm trying.
no.
This elephant's crazy, going everywhere. Too many drugs when this elephant was just a wee little baby elephant.
That's right.
Wittgenstein. I said it's always this conversation always comes back to Wittgenstein, doesn't it?
Well, sure, because at the end of the day, every term refers to the collective understanding of it. I mean, you were talking about this earlier. What is a chair, right? Well, a chair is, how can you define a chair in a way that encompasses all chairs, but nothing that isn't a chair? It's impossible. You know, you're always relying on what people think something is. And if gender's that.
So, if
So
Vaush just acknowledged that the define everything that's define a chair that encompasses all chairs but leaves out no chairs and doesn't apply to any other category. He just acknowledged that that argument is stupid. Okay. So just keep this in mind. Vaush can never again make the dumb, I don't know if he's ever done it, but he can never make the dumb gender argument that we hear so often where it's like, well, you define what it means to be a man or a woman. And if you can't, then therefore the categories are social constructs that don't exist. He can never make that argument because he just acknowledged it's stupid right here.
all right, nice. But we can call him stupid if he makes that argument, right?
Or you can call him a hypocrite
Okay.
or a grifter. That's the word everyone likes.
But
nowadays.
by his own logic, he's dumb if he makes that argument.
Right. I don't know if he, now be clear, I don't know if he has made that argument.
Right.
But he cannot make that argument now.
Maybe. I don't know.
That way, sure. But we make the prescriptive argument because a lot of people do have understandings of gender which clash with understandings other people hold. The if you identify as a woman, you are one narrative is increasingly popular in America. As far as I can tell, it's probably within the next 50 years.
Weren't we arguing, though, that the prescriptive arguments are the immoral ones? Like to say you can't be a woman unless you know, clean the kitchen. That's bad.
Well, is it? It's not prescriptive to say. Well,
Gender norms are prescriptive. They can't,
No.
like, gender norms have to be prescriptive.
Right, but it's not prescriptive to say if you identify as a woman, you are a woman, right? Well, I mean, I guess it is because you're saying if you deny that, then you're a bad person.
Yeah, prescriptive. But there is.
I don't think he just said he's saying that he thinks that's going to be the dominant gender theory in 50 years in America. That's fucking. I don't believe
It just
that for a second.
occurred to me that there are two things in conflict here.
Mhm.
Because you also have, like, if you're not an honest person, you're a bad person too. And those are the two things in common. That's why there's so much debate over this defining women term. Because you're either in the category of woman or you're being dishonest, and either one of them come up, you're a bad person. Correct?
Wait, I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, if you're saying trans women are women and you're saying I'm a woman, I'm in the category of woman, but society doesn't accept that, then you're being dishonest.
Oh, you're saying. Oh, I see. You're saying.
And you'd be labeled
Right,
as
gotcha.
dishonest, and dishonest is
You're a
prescriptively
liar.
bad. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's something to do with it.
Yeah, so that's why they're trying to avoid being thrown into the category of bad person. Bad person. But also the people who are saying, also the people on the other side of that debate are trying to avoid being cast into the dishonest bad person category too, because they're saying, listen, if I deny reality in this way, I'm being dishonest and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So interesting. Fascinating.
There's going to be, if not then a dominant understanding of what gender means. And at that point, do all of the trans women suddenly then become women, where that narrative becomes dominant? No, we make the prescriptive argument here. We can derive.
Here's Sitch's prediction. Here's Sitch's slaughter meter prediction. Okay. In 15 to 20 years, there's going to be a huge backlash of trans regret that is going to overshadow any trans regret that's ever existed previously. And it's going to totally push people in the exact opposite direction in terms of a lot of these gender questions.
Super gender norms.
Yeah. It's going to have a negative repercussion, and that's going to push a lot of people back into trying to establish very strict gender norms because of all the trans regret.
won't a big component of the trans regret be that these people became sterile though, so they won't be able to
Yes.
influence the
Yes.
next generation?
Definitely.
I mean, that's got to play some role in it. Right?
Right.
Yeah.